Hi there, and welcome to Out There, a Cryptid podcast. They say nothing good ever comes out of those hills. Even at the time of writing this episode, the devil of the Ozarks has escaped jail and is on the run. For my return to hosting, I wanted to cover a cryptid very close to me. Literally. A monster the size of a bear, menacing horns that would scare away even the bravest of hunters, and a piercing howl that would cause anyone to freeze. Josh has the Jersey Devil. Trevor has Bigfoot. But I have the Ozark Howler. Let's dive in. Your ghost host has returned. And yes, I know this is a cryptid episode, but there's a reason I'm hosting today's episode. But first, it's been nearly 4 months since I've hosted an episode of Out There. So I have some updates and apologies to make. First off, I mentioned a while back that I was going to write and host a Patreon exclusive episode that was supposed to release in March. As our Patreon subscribers know, that didn't happen. However, the episode is coming and it will be a 2-parter, so there will be even more content for you to chow down on. Second, physical copies of my book Dear Editor will still be released for those who have been subscribed to our $10 Patreon tier at any point since March. Again, I would like to apologize for all the delays, but the last few months have been very hectic to say the least. And finally, some good news. I've teased before that I've been working on writing a new show for the podcast, and that is still the case. It's going to be a huge twist from what we normally do here. And yes, episodes will be posted early for Patreon subscribers. Teases for the show will be coming soon, so keep an ear out. Now, with my return to hosting, I wanted to do something special. I wanted to cover a cryptid that I've always dreamed about covering on this show. A cryptid that I live very close to. One that has been slowly climbing the ranks and is on its way to becoming a legendary creature alongside the likes of Bigfoot, Nessie, and even Mothman. We are talking about the Ozark Howler, right after this. Our story begins over 200 years ago in the early 1800s. Daniel Boone, a notorious frontiersman and the man who settled the state of Kentucky, is said to have been one of the first people to ever encounter the legendary beast. After leaving Kentucky, Boone set out to explore more of the Western world. His journey took him across the Mississippi River and into what is now known as the Ozarks. Along his trek through the mountains, hills, and forests, it is alleged that Boone came face to face with a large cat-like creature with black fur. Legend says he fired his rifle at the creature, hitting the beast, but it fled before Boone could kill it or capture it. Upon returning to Kentucky, Boone would tell stories of his encounter, though, lacking a pelt or any tangible evidence, most are still skeptical of his story to this day. So, what is the Ozark Howler? The Ozark Howler is known by many names. The Black Howler, the Devil Cat, the Nightshade Bear, and even the Hoo-Hoo, to name a few. Reports of the creature's appearance are generally the same, with some minor differences in between sightings. It is typically described as the size of a bear, but with stocky legs. Its body is covered in thick black fur, its eyes glow red, and a set of horns protrude from its head. However, the detail with the most inconsistent reports is the creature's howl. The howler's cry has been described as a coyote's yip, a wolf's howl, an elk's bugle, a hyena's laugh, and even a person screaming. It could also be any combination of these. Now, how can a beast that large and loud stay hidden from researchers and cryptozoologists? Well, to understand that, you need to understand the Ozarks. The Ozarks spans 4 states, covering 47,000 square miles. A majority of the Ozarks is within Missouri and Arkansas, with small portions in Oklahoma and a tiny corner of Kansas. In the space between the Appalachian Mountains and Rocky Mountains, the Ozarks is the place with the most geographical range. Rolling hills, dense forests, mountains, and an endless number of caves and caverns. If someone wants to be found in the Ozarks, that's hard enough. So just imagine trying to find a creature that doesn't want to be found. The Ozark Plateau, as it's also known, has over 4,500 known caves. Already, that's nearly 5,000 different locations something could hide in. And that's not even including all of the above ground area. Most of the Ozarks forests are dense enough that even with an aerial view, you can't see much of anything. However, the dense forests and endless caves haven't stopped people from catching glimpses here and there. Sightings of the Ozark Howler really began in the mid-1900s. However, it was between 2005 and 2010 when the Ozark Howler would really begin to show itself. Somewhere around that time, a family living in Crawford County, Arkansas had set up some trail cameras around their property after spotting what they thought was a cougar. These trail cams would go on to capture images of the supposed cougar, but the family believed it to be something else. The family alleged that they had caught the Howler on their trail cams. They even gave the images to a local TV station where they were aired for the public to see. The general consensus regarding the subject of the image is that the family simply captured photos of a mountain lion. According to the Arkansas Game and Fish Commission, at the time of the sighting, and even now, there is not an active breeding population of cougars. Lucky for us though, this family wasn't the only one to see something strange around this time. In Oklahoma, there were multiple reports from hikers and campers of large black cats roaming the hills and mountains. In the Arkansas River Valley, there were reports of strange howling at night. Those who came forward compared it to the sounds of a hyena. Now, I know what you're thinking. Obviously, this is just a hyena or some other large black cat loose in the Ozarks. And that's a completely valid thought. However, there are no black cats native to the Ozarks with a melanistic trait. For those who don't know, melanism is when an animal has too much of a black pigment under its skin and or its fur. Think of it as the opposite of albinism. Melanism is common in big cats like jaguars, leopards, pumas, panthers, and bobcats. No species of mountain lion that's been found in the Ozarks carries a melanistic gene. In 2004, there were various sightings of a dark cougar-like creature in the Fort Smith area. Many had seen or heard the Howler, and some even found paw prints that they believed to be the Howlers. Although some reports claimed that these were the Ozark Howler, many in the area believed that it was just a rogue mountain lion, despite the AGFC's statements regarding the lack of a breeding population. In April 2006, still within the 5 years the Ozark Howler sighting spiked, a man living in Oregon County, Missouri had woken up around 4:30 in the morning. He stepped outside to check on his livestock and noticed that they were scared and all grouped together in the corner of their enclosure. He grabbed a pair of binoculars to try and spot what had the animals so agitated. He said at first it looked like a black panther. He began walking towards it and quickly realized it couldn't be a panther. He watched as it ran along his fence line. He described it as being half cat and half dog, with long ears or possibly horns. He said it had thick black fur, a long cat-like tail, bright red eyes, and was approximately the size of a Great Dane. This sighting is incredible because of one thing: the fence. This man having this frame of reference, I believe, lends more credibility to his description of whatever he saw. For example, the size of the creature. This man seeing the creature run along his fence line gives him a perfect opportunity to see how tall it actually was. So when he says it's the size of a Great Dane, I'm inclined to believe it. However, it was very early in the morning, and unless it was a full moon, I'm not sure how much he would have been able to accurately see. In 2009, an Arkansas ranger told reporters that she witnessed what she described as a huge black panther that ran in front of her car. She stopped to get a better look, stating that it snarled at her before darting back into the woods. Although describing it as a panther, she stated that she believed it was the Ozark Howler. She reported the sighting to her superiors, but said the AGFC refused to acknowledge the existence of any Ozark Howler because none had ever been captured and a carcass has never been found. Despite hundreds of sightings, Arkansas wildlife officials believe that those sightings were pet panthers that escaped captivity. This explanation gets brought up a lot when it comes to the Ozark Howler. Could the Ozark Howler be an escaped big cat? The answer is yes, it absolutely could be. However, it's not likely. According to Arkansas law, owning a large carnivore is generally prohibited. The key word there is generally. Some people are able to obtain legal permission to own big cats, like tigers, lions, pumas, panthers, etc. But more often than not, large carnivores are owned illegally. It is known that there have been those who've illegally owned big cats such as these in the Ozarks before. If an owner of an illegal animal happens to lose it or it escapes, they're not going to inform police or the public because, of course, they don't want to face legal consequences. So if an illegal cat were to escape in the Ozarks, nobody would know, making this a widely accepted answer for what the Ozark Howler could be. Now, those are just sightings without any evidence to really go on. So, who has all the evidence? Well, Steve and Sharon Robinson, a couple from Forsyth, Missouri, have managed to capture some. The Robinsons have appeared on 2 shows, Expedition X and In Search of Monsters. In each of these episodes, professionals are sent to talk to the Robinsons and take a look at their evidence. I'm sure you're wondering, well, what's the evidence? Well, the Robinsons managed to capture the creature's howl. After Sharon heard a strange howl while walking her dog, the couple decided to set up an audio recording device and trail cams outside to capture evidence of the creature. It wasn't just Sharon who'd heard the howl that night either. Their neighbor Mary Caperton also heard the creature and was fearful to leave the house. In the show In Search of Monsters, the Robinsons reach out to the lead animal caretaker of the Stratford, Missouri Wild Animal Safari, Michael Richardson. As someone who's worked with exotic animals, Michael wanted to see if he could identify what animal could possibly be making the noise. While he couldn't say definitively that it was something unknown, he did say that it was odd. Steve also tells Michael that they have heard as many as 3 of these creatures communicating at once, and that they seem to communicate in a pattern similar to Morse code. audio isn't the only evidence the couple has. They even managed to capture a photo of an unidentified creature peeking around a tree. They show Michael the original photo, and a version Steve ran through a software that shows the edges of everything in the photo. While viewing the photo, Michael points out that the face of the creature does resemble that of a large cat, and points out that it even has white scruff common to many big cats. In the end, Michael didn't know what the Robinsons had captured. We'll see what happens on Expedition X right after this. Over on Expedition X, the Robinsons show Jessica Chobot and Phil Torres 2 audio recordings that they captured just days prior, one during a rainstorm, and another that Steve claims lasted 45 minutes. Phil is quick to point out in the first recording that the creature's howls are much louder than the rain. During the second, both Jessica and Phil say that the howl sounds scary, and like the creature making the cry was angry. Phil and Jess request to have the audio files for their investigation. During their search, Phil and Jess play the audio over a loudspeaker in an attempt to get a response. And guess what? They do. Multiple, actually, coming from various positions around them, leading more credence to Steve's claim of there being multiple creatures. The Robinsons aren't the only ones that claim to have images of the Ozark Howler. In 2015, a man claimed to capture photos of the Howler near Devil's Den State Park. They were sent in by an unknown individual to the Springfield News Leader, and eventually made their way to reporter Wes Johnson. Johnson looked at the photos and immediately believed they were photoshopped. He attempted to reach out to the individual who'd taken them, but never heard back. He decided to write a fun piece about the bizarre tips the paper gets all the time, and put the photos right in the center. He described the photo as looking like a German Shepherd puppy with photoshopped horns. If you'd like to see the image yourself, it'll be on our Instagram. And funny enough, Johnson's not wrong. One glance at the photo and it's obvious that the animal in the photo is not the huge monstrous creature that people are claiming to see. However, despite the photos being published as a joke, it didn't stop the cryptozoological community from making the article go viral. Eventually, the owner of the photos did reach out to Wes, insisting that the photos were not altered in any way. Wes has since said that he found the individual to be very credible, and was even sent more photos that were taken from different angles. Some have suggested that the creature in the photo could be that small because it could be a cub. If the Robinsons' theory of there being multiple howlers is true, they could be breeding, and this could be a howler cub. Phantomsandmonsters.com is a place where those who witness strange phenomena go to post their experiences. And lucky for us, someone posted their sighting of the Ozark Howler last year. On November 5th, 2024, someone going by Jay posted their story, asking, "Did we see the Ozark Howler?" Hi Lon, I don't have any idea what I witnessed on May 28th, 2013, but it was the most frightening experience of my life. My wife and I were camping at an RV park near Jasper, Arkansas, and planned to be there for several days. We arrived early Saturday and got situated soon after. My wife wanted to look around the area, since she had never been to the Ozarks. I was born and raised in the mountains, and was familiar with the terrain and wildlife. After we tinkered around the campsite, we decided to take a short hike through a nearby valley. There were a few caves and caverns along the way, but nothing where I could have guessed any large predator would be living. After walking for an hour, we started to head back towards the RV park. Not long after we started walking back down the trail, something caught my eye on the right in a sassafras thicket. My wife sensed it as well and stopped to look in the same direction. I could see this dark four-legged creature moving back and forth slowly through the brush. We immediately started to walk at a fast pace back towards the park. This creature was moving along as well, keeping its distance but tracking us. This continued for what seemed like 10 minutes until we reached a clearing. We got back to the campsite, very shaken and nervous. All my years growing up in these mountains, I had never seen anything comparable to it. From what I could gather, it was very large, almost the size of a black bear, but moved close to the ground like a cat. It was also very dark in color. We didn't say anything to others camping nearby. The rest of the evening was very quiet and peaceful until around 2:15 a.m. when we heard what sounded like a high-pitched howl coming from a distance. It was loud enough to wake both of us, and I noticed several campers were looking outside, milling around and talking as well. Someone said it was just a coyote, but that was not a coyote, or anything else I had ever heard before. The next morning, we woke around 9 a.m. When I stepped out of the RV. A woman walked up to me and asked if I heard the howling. I said I did, and I had no idea what it was. The woman who was camping nearby said that she believed it was the Ozark Howler, and that there had been a few sightings recently. I knew the stories about the Ozark Howler, but never believed any of them. Well, my wife wanted to leave ASAP. Now, I'm not sure what to think. We came home today and I looked up the Ozark Howler. There isn't much to go on. I read your blog and thought you may want to get the word out. Is it possible this creature may live? Jay. The details in this account match up with what other eyewitnesses describe. A bear-sized creature hunched to the ground, prowling like a cat, and a howl that pierced through the night, waking the campers. But what else could it be that's lurking in the Ozarks? We'll find out right after this. One theory suggests that the Ozark Howler is possibly a Smilodon, also known as a saber-toothed cat. So how could this even be? Well, the Lazarus effect. The Lazarus effect is named after the biblical story where Jesus resurrects his friend Lazarus. In relation to animals, the Lazarus effect is when a creature that was once extinct, or thought to be extinct, manages to be bred back into existence. This phenomenon is not as rare as one would think. Nearly 100 species of animals have been rediscovered from the Lazarus effect, including the coelacanth, the bush dog, Laothian rock rat, Manito del Monte, Caicowin peccari, and the Peruvian yellow-tailed woolly monkey. The theory suggests that a Smilodon was bred back into existence and lives in the Ozarks. Archaeologists have found Smilodon fossils in the Ozarks, which means they've lived in the region before. However, the issues scientists have with the theory is that Smilodon did not carry the melanistic trait required to have black fur. And when it comes to black cats, there's one thing that they are always associated with: witchcraft. Witchcraft and the Ozarks have a history dating back over a century. Black cats have always bore the brunt of superstition. Everybody has heard stories about black cats being bad luck, whether it's one crossing your path, or boarding and exiting a ship, or a stray entering your house. We hold a dark connotation to these creatures, and the Ozark Howler may not be any different. While no one who's come across it has reported any bad luck, there's another thing that used to be believed about black cats. that they were demonic. In the Middle Ages, at the height of witchcraft, it was believed by many that black cats were demonic figures. Witches would often keep black cats as familiars. Because of this, many believed that these familiars would help their witches perform spells and curses. But how could they do this? It was believed that witches' familiars possessed spiritual abilities and were even demonic in nature. So, could the Ozark Howler have been a witch's familiar? The Howler certainly seems more like a demonic entity. After all, it has large horns, glowing red eyes, and it's pitch black. Even its cry could be considered demonic, with some people stating that it sounds like a person screaming. A demonic nature could also explain how the Ozark Howler could have such a range of howls. It's widely accepted that demonic entities have the ability to mimic sounds that they've heard, or perfectly replicate sounds and voices from scratch. If the Howler truly is demonic, this would be a good explanation for the variety of cries, howls, bleats, and even laughs it seems to emit. Adding further validity to this claim is the description of a familiar from the 1500s. In the mid-1500s, a woman named Elizabeth Francis was convicted of witchcraft. She had a familiar named Satan. Well, what's so special about this familiar in particular? Elizabeth's familiar, Satan, was described as being a large black cat with horns rising from its head, exactly like the Ozark Howler. The odds of the Ozark Howler and Satan being the same cat is slim, until you consider the idea the familiars are indeed demonic creatures. That means Satan's lifespan could be incredibly long, if not indefinite, and that Elizabeth's familiar could have gone into hiding within the depths of the Ozarks. There is one more belief about witchcraft that could explain the Howler. It was once believed that witches could shapeshift into other creatures and animals. Most often, this would be black cats. A handful of people believe that the Ozark Howler isn't an animal at all, but a witch who is disguising themselves as a large beast to travel through the wilderness. And despite how strange the idea may seem, it's a very smart idea if you're a witch hiding out in the woods. It keeps you from being attacked by other animals that may be in the woods, and scares off people who come a bit too close. Lastly, Forrest Galante gave his theory as to what the Ozark Howler is on an episode of the Wild Ones podcast. Forrest Galante is a professional outdoorsman known for his shows Extinct or Alive and Mysterious Creatures with Forrest Galante. His theory stated the legend of the Ozark Howler came to be because of two separate events happening at the same time. In his own words, in the Ozarks lived the most endangered wolf in the world, the American red wolf. The exact same time period that the Ozark Howler popped up, guess what else happened in North America? Prohibition is taking place. There's these wolves that are being hunted towards extinction. What happens when there's less and less wolves? What do they do to find each other? They howl to look for each other. Prohibitionists started this rumor of an Ozark Howler to keep people out of the deep woods where they were moonshining. They would then elaborate these howls and things. It was grounded in reality of these red wolves howling, trying to locate each other. From there, he explains that when the Red Wolves were shot out, the Moonshiners had to keep up the act, which caused the rumor to spiral into what we know now. As an Ozarkian myself, I really want to believe that the Ozark Howler is hiding out there. But Forrest's explanation of what probably happened makes a lot of sense to me. Regardless, the idea of a large, monstrous cat with red eyes, huge horns, and a howl that makes grown men grab a shotgun will always be more appealing to me. So, what do you think? Is the Ozark Howler really out there? Be sure to follow us on Instagram at OutThereCryptids for episode posts, updates, and more. Join our community on Discord, where we dive even deeper into the mysteries we explore here on the podcast. The link can be found on our Instagram. And if you're loving the show, consider supporting us on Patreon. As a patron, you'll get exclusive perks like bonus episodes, early access, and more surprises. See you next week.